I've been hard stuck in low ranks in competitive games all my life, never reaching higher than silver in League or Overwatch. Can I climb out of elo hell and become a top-ranking player in Deadlock despite how complex it is? Or will I suffer the same fate I had in those prior games? That is the journey this series shall tell. Since the last video, I've played another 35 games, the majority of which were on Wraith. I won 16 games and lost 19, so my overall win rate was only 45%. As a result, I've unfortunately fallen from Oracle 6 down to Oracle 5. That sounds bad, but what journey is without its challenges? I'll talk a bit about the obstacles I faced over these last 3 weeks of playing, and review 2 different matches going over how I played, what mistakes I made, and how I learned from them. First, I want to address a major issue I faced, which is matchmaking. In 4 of the matches I lost, the enemy team had an Eternus player, or an obvious Smurf with an 80% win rate, while my team did not. In contrast, I only had one match where my team had an Eternus player, and I won because of it. While this is a significant obstacle to climbing, I am determined, and if I must reach Eternus and skill level myself in order to overcome this matchmaking issue, I will. Additionally, I want to clarify that the majority of the matches I play on this account are solo, with the occasional duo match with my girlfriend. This is also my main account. I will not be using a Smurf to circumvent the difficulty of climbing. This series is about improvement, not choosing the rank system, or being discouraged by it either. If there are obstacles, I will simply get better, and I know I can. In this game, I made a significant number of mistakes that led to me having lower impact and ultimately losing. Let's review what happened. When I first load in a match, I start by thinking about the matchup and how I expect it to play out. Here, it is Wraith and Bebop versus Kelvin and Ivy, and I believe this is really in my favor. Both of the heroes are quite weak, and I'm confident that we should be able to apply a great deal of pressure and get either kills or their tower. It may be hard to kill them after Kelvin gets his ultimate though. Here, I tunnel vision a little too much on chasing Kelvin when I'm low on ammo. I believe it would have been more productive to help Bebop get to safety instead. It kind of works out though, because Ivy backs up to help Kelvin. Shortly after, Bebop lands a nice hook resulting in a kill. This is great. I know we will likely get ults first now, and we should be able to apply a lot of pressure when we do. Unfortunately, when I go to shop, Bebop fights alone against them both, likely not realizing that I had done so. I should have communicated this, and the lane is now even as a result of his death. Once I see it is approaching 5 minutes, I always make sure to shove the wave so I can go grab the bridge buff. I feel quite strong now, and I want to pressure the tower. However, I tunnel vision on doing so too much, and underestimate the range of Kelvin Beam. I should have been much more ready to teleport once he used it, but I wasn't thinking of the danger I was in. I speed boost back after respawning, and Bebop manages to get both of them low while surviving. I follow up in a really sloppy way by focusing too much on Ivy while Kelvin is punching me. It's clear that I focus too much on one goal or task and neglect other important things going on. Nonetheless, I survive and we kill them both and take their guardian. After some time spent farming, I noticed there are a lot of people fighting on the map, so it's a really critical time for me to decide what to do. I see 3 people are blue, but I only noticed 2 yellow. I'm confident I can win any 1v1, so I could potentially damage the walker. However, I hesitate last second because I see the people in blue stop pushing. I know they could show up to contest me and kill me quickly. I'm unsure what I should have done differently, but because the death timers are so short and I know they will take some time to reach me, I probably should have just went for it. I should back up and buy here, but I forgot I still have my Guardian and instead go for a play on Ivy. Kelvin shows up at the perfect time and I barely escape. In the end it worked out, but I should have just bought first. They get too aggressive pushing our Guardian, and Paradox shows up letting us get a nice pick on Ivy. I kinda just aimed into the Kelvin. I'm not really sure what I was thinking, but maybe I thought he was much lower health than he actually was. I should have just gone back to base. I go for an aggressive play on Eternus, but he barely survives. This was close to working, but I think overall the play was a bit too forced. I likely could have done something more impactful and less risky at this time, or I should have shown up at the buff to contest it sooner. Once that fails, I steal their double vault instead, which I think was actually a good decision. We get a nice pick onto Krill, which should let us secure the urn easily or take Blue Guardian. I decide to go for the Blue Guardian as I shred objectives, but I immediately die to Kelvin and Ivy. This is honestly really poor awareness on my part. I didn't think anybody was around to contest me, but I had just saw them like 10 seconds ago. Just being slightly more patient, pushing the wave and waiting, and then taking it would have presented this outcome. This is maybe one of the most impactful deaths I have in this game, and that we are no longer able to do Urn or get the Guardian because of it, which really would have helped the game state. I make a huge positioning misplay in this fight that results in me getting comboed and then dying. This is another great example of me tunnel visioning on a single person in a fight, and because I'm so focused on just killing the Slash, I fail to consider the rest of their team running at me. I had a fantastic power spike and the most money in the lobby, so I'm fairly sure I could have won our team this fight had I played better. Unfortunately, this major mistake is enough to effectively lose my team the game. My team gets wiped, the enemy gets Urn, and they're even able to use the death timers to get a second Urn. From here, we are down too much souls to realistically win. This game goes on for another 10 minutes due to the enemy taking a while to properly close it out, mostly because they ignore mid for too long, but it's no longer useful to review. In this game, the primary mistake I make over and over is tunnel visioning on a specific target or goal and no longer considering other enemies or threats. Aside from that, I'm also a little too quick to ult to try to force plays, and I sometimes lose pressure from it. I believe that focusing on improving my awareness, both inside and outside of combat, will go a long way towards improving how I play. After this match, I resolved to improve upon my issues with awareness and tunnel visioning, and consciously focused on doing so in my following games. Additionally, a fellow Deadlock content creator by the name of Nathan published a video reviewing one of my matches too. He gave me some great advice to improve my gameplay, and I recommend you check out his content as he has great educational videos. With what I learned from that review and Nathan's advice, I started to improve better in my matches. Let's take a look at this one. As usual, when I load into the match, I consider my lane matchup, which this time is Bebop and Wraith versus Shiv and Warden. I believe this should be a fairly active and dynamic lane, but it is in favor of Warden and Shiv because Bebop has 2 base stamina and Wraith is a weak laner. However, Bebop Hook and Wraith ult have really nice synergy, so we can still have some kill pressure too. We've just barely started the match and both Shiv and Warden go for an aggressive play on Bebop. I noticed this quickly, and in combination with a parry from Bebop, we kill Shiv. Now, I will get my ult first in lane, which could be a significant threat to them. Unfortunately, when I hit my ult timing, I'm quite low, and Shiv flanks me. I could have been fine here, but I messed up my movement and take a lot of damage. I use my ult to make sure I survive, but I'm so low I decide to back. I thought I would have zipline boost, but that's actually at 6 minutes, not 5 minutes, so I'm really slow. I don't miss much from the back, however, Bebop takes a lot of damage while solo laning and dies for it. That's my bad, and had I not messed up my movement, this wouldn't have happened. Now I'm solo and in a lot of danger, and I ult to try to get Shiv off me. Bebop comes back and lands a nice hook, securing us a kill and stabilizing the situation. So far, I'm not playing this lane perfectly, but it's going pretty well for us. Sometime later, Bebop gets whittled down by flasks and knives, and Shiv goes for an aggressive dive when Warden isn't ready to follow up. The previously mentioned hook and Wraith ult quickly kill him, and Warden's ult is wasted as Bebop zones him with his laser. I know that Warden is nearby after ulting, and I sort of wander around aimlessly looking for him, which is a huge mistake on my part. Let me explain. The game timer is just before 10 minutes, which means that both buffs are about to spawn, as well as the urn. Of course, we want the wave pushed out for this critical timing, however, there's even more going on here. Just a minute ago, Eternus and Haze took our Green Guardian. They've stopped showing up on the map, and it's extremely likely that they'll now roam to try to take our remaining 2 Guardians. If we already have wave priority, it'll take them longer, or it might not even be possible for them to take our Guardian, as I can kill the wave fairly effectively. This would waste the Eternus' time as they split souls between 3 people. Unfortunately, by wandering around for no reason, the wave is shoved into our tower. Then I play overly aggressive because I feel strong with Tesla bullets, and Shiv almost kills me. I'm forced back and Eternus helps Shiv take our Guardian. The only way I could have played this series of 30 seconds worse is if I had died to the Shiv. I should have been more prepared for this game timing and the likelihood of a roam from green. I push yellow wanting to take the Guardian while Eternus is running urn, but I'm playing way too aggressively here. I'm not strong enough to finish off Warden, and he has fortitude, so he'll heal off any damage I do. I should have saved my ult and teleport for when Bebop shows up, as we have a much better chance of killing someone together. Warden and Shiv jump Bebop while I'm farming a camp, and by the time I go over to try to help him, it's too late and he is dead. If I had my ult still, we could have potentially won, or I could have prevented his death. I don't believe that if I had immediately jumped down to help him, I would have been able to save him though. Now, I simply side lane and farm up souls for a while. At some point, I swapped over to pushing green and Bebop is yellow, but he's really behind, which can be attributed in large part to several mistakes I made. He cannot handle the pressure from Haze and Shiv and dies, allowing them to take our walker. If I reacted instantly to this, I may have been able to defend it, but by the time I saw what happened, I think it was too late. Our team is quite behind at this point and down 2 flag slots. They still have 2 Guardians remaining. Nonetheless, I know I can become a threat if I farm efficiently. While continuing to side lane, Calico aggressively chases after a Mirage, and after pushing the wave, which is an important fundamental, I'm able to use my ult to finish him off. Eternus seems to think he can 1v1 me, but he is wrong. However, Warden shows up, and I react well with my teleport to get away. It could have been dangerous if I was slowing Hexed, but getting this kill and wave push was really valuable. Eternus waits a lot of time backtracking to his walker to pick up the wave. I keep pushing in green, and eventually Eternus gets too close, letting me ult him. This is one of the best strengths of Wraith. This looks kind of silly because he stands still. I think some people get kind of tilted after being Wraith ulted, but I think it is very likely he was going to die regardless. With Eternus down, I'm confident I can take the walker in time before they can send people to defend, and my Lash picks up the urn at a fantastic timing so that we are pressuring both the walker and the urn. Realistically, the enemy can only contest one of them, and they choose to all come to try to save their walker. Calico shouldn't help me push this. I can get a solo fine on my own. However, I do misplay because while they're all distracted killing her, I definitely could have just made a run for it rather than trying to fight. It's a good lesson that once you get the objective you're looking for, just book it. After my death, Mirage pushes green, but I'm very rich from getting the walker and side lane farming. I'm ready to dive him if he stays, and he does. It makes sure to slowing Hex before I ult to prevent Tornado, and I don't think he expects that. Calico helps, but I'm sure I could have killed him solo too. Afterwards, I rotate yellow to try to pressure their Guardian, Dynamo is nearby too, which is great, as the combination of his ult and my damage will be excellent against any threats. They overstay trying to defend their Guardian, and we easily kill 7 and Eternus. Dynamo's ult on Eternus was unnecessary, and I accidentally used my teleport, but it all works out. I'm able to take another walker, and now they need to back off green as we have a numbers advantage. Dynamo picks up the urn, and both teams have fairly strong ults for it. I'm keeping Warden and Haze in my mind as significant threats. Before this fight, I pick up plated armor, as they're mostly gone. I get a nice ult on Shiv, forcing out of the fight early, which is great. It should be easy for us to win now. However, Dynamo wastes a lot of time in bringing over the urn, spending time in jungle, and then he drops it, not realizing he wouldn't be allowed to pick it back up. At this point, Shiv is able to come back, and there's no longer any reason to fight as the urn has been dropped. I spam ping retreat, but Lash goes in and gets himself killed. That's bad, because they could potentially threaten mid since we lack Dynamo or Lash health to stop it. I don't think there's anything I could have done differently here, though. From here, things get a bit weird. Mirage disconnects, which is unfortunate, and we pause for a while, but he doesn't show back up. That's not ideal for the enemy team, but they can still defend and hold on the map. They don't though. Our team takes their blue walker and runs urn without really being contested, so they just had poor macro for no reason. Later, we go for another urn, and Mirage is no longer disconnected, so it's an even fight. I'm really strong, but some things go wrong. I ult Haze, who seems to be really out of position, but she does some weird movement to get away really fast. I should have slowing hexed her first. This is a good example of me learning from my mistakes though, because I don't chase after her, and instead back up. I know I need to wait for my team to engage properly. Warden ults and hard focuses me, but I teleport behind my team where I'm much safer. Our team is able to kill Warden very quickly, so this was a great teleport. Calico gets onto Haze and looks like she will kill her, but she narrowly escapes death once again. Then, the enemy 7 uses ult, which gets most of my team low, and Shiv cleans up as we all split apart in different directions. In the end, this position is quite bad for us. I'm sure I could have played this fight better, but I don't understand how to optimally play team fights. Fortunately, rather than go mid, Shiv and 7 instead pushed blue. I know 7 likely used Unstoppable earlier, so I focus on him and secure a kill. We're also able to chase after Shiv, picking him too. Mirage disconnects again, but that doesn't really matter. The small skirmish after the fight is enough to turn things around, and I call for mid, which we secure successfully. 2 of them get staggered while trying to contest mid, and from here it's really easy to end the game using our lead in rejuve. I believe I played quite well throughout the game, efficiently farming, recognizing opportunities to get kills and objectives. I made some mistakes with using my ult, but otherwise I learned a lot about how to approach fights, staying aware of the map, and helping my team get back into the game. Thank you all for watching. This video took much more work to put together than I expected, but hopefully I'll improve at editing too. If you enjoy my content, please consider subscribing. It motivates me to continue improving and working on this series. Have a lovely day.